Ashley here with hearthookhome.com, and today we are going to be working up the smallest size of my new color block sweater. This uses 3 different colors of yarn. Of course, you can make a solid color if you like. You can use 2 colors if you like. You can use 4 colors. You can use 10 colors. It's completely up to you. This is the smallest size because it is easiest to fit on my video. The adult size would just be way too large. If you are making the adult size with this companion video today, just note that when I give specific stitch counts for the child sizes, that you're going to be sure to make to check your own pattern to make sure that you are crocheting the correct stitch counts for the size that you are making. That being said, if you are making any of the child sizes, they all start out the same. So let's go ahead and get started with this adorable color block sweater. We are going to start with the lightest color for this tutorial. I wanted to start with the lightest color because it's easiest to see on video, and this is where we will be doing the majority of the instructional purposes. It's going to be in the yoke, which starts at the neck and works its way down to the armholes, so all of that will be done in the same colorway. Once we get to the body, we're going to switch over to this beautiful green, and then we're going to finish it off with this lovely blue. So we've got our first color of yarn here. We need to make sure that we are using the correct crochet hook. For me, this is an I 5.5 millimeter. You're going to definitely want to check your gauge against mine and make sure that it is similar. If you need to go down to an H hook or up to a J hook, that's perfectly fine. First things first, I'm going to start my beginning chain. And since we are working up the child size, I am going to start with a chain of 73. Remember, if you are working up the adult size, you are going to start with a different number of chains depending on what size you are making. So I'm going to go ahead and do my chain of 73, and I will hook back up. So here we have my 73 chains. The very first thing we're going to do is we're going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook. So this one right here, I'm going to turn it so that I'm going into the back bar, and I'm going to single crochet in this chain and in every single chain all the way until we get back. So when I get to the end, I should end up with 72 single crochets. So I've got my 72 single crochets. I'm ready to join to the top of the first single crochet that I made. So I'm going to do that with a slip stitch. When you do this, you want to make sure that your first row isn't twisted around on itself and that it's nice and flat. This might look a little large, especially for a 2-3T size, but we've got some finishing to do at the end. We're going to leave this yarn tail here so that we can weave that end later. So let's go ahead and get started with row 2. And remember, if you're working up the adult size, these numbers are going to be slightly different. The concept is the same, just the number of repeats is different. So on row 2, for all of the child sizes, we're going to chain 1, and for this row specifically, we are not going to turn. We're going to place a single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1 in this very first stitch here, all in that first one. So I'm going to do a single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1. And this is an increase. This is how we're going to do these increases for the entire yoke. Now we're going to skip the next stitch, and we're going to start the portion that's in the asterisks and the brackets and the parentheses. It looks a little bit more confusing than it is, so let's take our time. We're going to repeat this all the way around until we get back over here. So we are going to, since we already skipped this one here, we're going to go into this one here. We're going to do a single crochet, a chain 1. We're going to do that 4 times, right? Skip that one, go into this one with a single crochet and chain 1. So that's 2. Skip this one, go into this one with a single crochet and chain 1. That's 3. Skip this one, go into this one with a single crochet and a chain 1. Now we're going to do an increase. We're going to skip this one and we're going to do a single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1 in this next stitch here. So single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1. So this, what we just did, where we did the 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the increase, that is what is in between the asterisks. So that means that we are going to repeat that portion all the way around. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, increase, 1, 2, 3, 4, increase, 1, 2, 3, 4, increase, etc., all the way around. So I'm going to skip this one. We're going to do 1, chain, skip, 2, chain, skip 3, chain, skip 4, chain, skip, and then a single, chain, single, chain in the next. So that is our increase again. Skip 1, skip 2, skip 3, skip 4, skip and increase. Single, chain, single, chain. Skip 1, skip 2, skip 3, skip 4, skip, increase. Single, chain, single, chain. We're going to repeat this all the way around. Skip, and then we're going to do an increase in this one. And now that we've done that increase there, we're going to join to the top of the first single crochet made, which is this one right here. So I'm going to join to the top of that first single crochet, just like that. And that is the end of row 2. Cool, right? Let's go ahead and start on row 3. This is also where people, I believe, are getting tripped up, especially when you're first starting. It's just knowing where to place those stitches. First thing we're going to do, I'm going to chain 1 and turn. I'm going to do a half double crochet using the same stitch as we did with our join, and then the first actual single crochet, which is right here. We're not going to go into the chain, we're going to go into the single crochet. So half double crochet 2 together, wrap your hook, go into the same as the join, which is right here, right? Anywhere inside of that stitch is perfectly fine. Pull up a loop, okay? Now we're going to yarn over and go into the next one, which is this single crochet right here. And that's the second half of our half double crochet 2 together. You should have 5 loops on your hook when you go to finish off this half double crochet 2 together. Yarn over, pull through all of them, and then we're going to chain 1. Now we're going to do a half double crochet 2 together in the next 2 single crochets. We're going to use this one that we just came out of and this one, the next single crochet. So wrap your hook, go into the same one that we just came out of and pull up a loop. You've got your 3. Now wrap it again and go into the next single crochet, which is this one right here, and pull up that loop. You know you're done because you've got 5. So now we're going to yarn over and pull through all 5. Chain 1. Now we're going to wrap our hook, go into the same one that we just came out of, right here. Wrap your hook again and go into the next single crochet. Remember, you're not going into these chains. You're going into the center of that single crochet right here. You've got your 5 loops, so yarn over, pull through all, and chain 1. And this is all we're doing around for the entire row 3. And so row 3 is one of these rows that is going to be repeated a lot in this pattern. Every other row is just like this. And on these rows, there is no increasing, there is no decreasing really. We're literally just making these half double crochets 2 together all the way around. All of the increases in this entire yoke are going to be made when we make those single crochet rows that we just finished. So you can see that this is another increase right here. It's all going into this one stitch, right? We've got both of these single crochets coming out of it. Just make sure that when you do your second half of that half double crochet 2 together, that you're going into the actual single crochet here. Sometimes I find that it's easier if you look at the opposite side, because we know, okay, that's a single crochet, that's a single crochet, that's a single crochet. So if you need to flip it over, especially when you're first starting this pattern, that's perfectly fine, just to make sure that you're placing them in the right place. So I've got my 5 loops, I'm going to pull through all, chain 1. Do my next, same one that I just came out of, wrap it, go into the next single crochet right there. We've got our 5 loops now, so we're going to yarn over and pull through all of them and chain 1. This is all I'm going to do around the entire thing for all of the row 3s. And like I said, row 3 is repeated a lot. So every time we have a row 3, This is exactly what we're going to do. So here I'm getting ready to finish row 3, and I want to make sure that we know how to end these rows. So remember, we go into the same that we just came out of for our last half double crochet 2 together, and then we go into the same as the first, okay? So let's do this slowly together. We're gonna wrap it, we're gonna go do the first half in the one we just came out of, and pull up a loop, so there's our 3, wrap it. We're going to go into the same stitch, or the same spot that we went in when we made the first one, which is this right here, which is the same as the join from the previous row, right? This just makes the join very seamless to where you can't hardly see it at all. And this is the same for the adult and the child size. So make sure you do your chain 1 and then attach to the top of the first stitch made with the slip stitch. So here we have our completed row 3. Looking lovely, right? Or not like much yet, but it will, I promise. All right, so now if you want to go ahead and count and make sure that your stitch count is on par with the pattern, you're going to follow the sets, right? So at the end of every row, you're going to have how many sets you should have. And when I count the sets, I'm counting the half double crochets 2 together. So at the end of row 3 for the child size, we should have 43. I'll just count the first 5 with you so that you understand how I'm counting. But here's our join. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So make sure that you have 44 of those for the child size of row 3. So now we are ready to start row 4, which is exactly what we did in this previous row down here with the single crochets and the chains. The numbers are just a little bit different. So as you can see in the child sizes on row 4, we have chain 1, turn, and then in brackets we have single crochet, chain 1, skip 1, 3 times. So that means we're going to go into this chain here for a single crochet, 1, chain, go into this next. We're going to skip this one. We're going to go into this next chain here for 2, chain 1, skip this one, go into this chain right here for 3. And so that's what's in our brackets. Now we're going to do an increase in this chain right here, which is the single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1. Now, it says we have our asterisk, so this is the portion that we're actually going to be repeating all the way around until we get back to the other side. So we have our asterisks, and then we have our brackets where we're going to single crochet, chain 1, skip 1, 5 times. So we're skipping this one. We're going to do a 1, chain, skip 2, chain, skip 3, chain, skip 4, chain, skip 5, chain. Now we're going to do an increase in this one right here. So we're going to do 1, chain, and 2, chain. And now we're just going to do that all over again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, increase. Let's do one more repeat together, and then I'll meet you back up at the end of this row. So we're going to skip 1, chain, skip 2, chain, skip 3, chain, skip 4, chain, skip 5, chain, skip, increase. 1, chain, 2, chain. We're going to do that portion over and over and over until we get back to where we started. So this is all of row 4. I'm going to continue, and I'll hook up with you at the end of this row. Okay, I've done all of my 5 and then increase, 5 and then increase. Now I have made it all the way around. I'm going to do the rest of this row, which is single crochet in this one, chain 1. We're going to do this 3 times. 2 and 3. And now we're going to increase in this last chain right here. 1, chain, 2, chain, and now we're going to join to the top of the first single crochet we made here. So if you want to make sure that you have the correct number of stitches, I did these all by stitch counts instead of set counts for these particular rows, and you want to make sure that you have 104 individual stitches on this round. Next, we're going to start a row 5, which is the same exact thing as row 3, right? So anytime we have an odd numbered row, it's going to be the same exact thing that we did in round 3. So I'm not going to show you this too many more times, but I will continue to show you the increase rows as we go along. So for the odd numbered rows, we're going to chain 1 and turn. We're going to yarn over, go into the same as the join. So you can see right here, this little thing right here, I'm going to go right in the center of that, right here, to pull up my first loop, okay? Boom. Now I'm going to yarn over, go into the next single crochet right here. Now that I've got my 5, I'm going to yarn over, pull through all of them, and chain 1. And pull my yarn, and this is literally all we're going to be doing for all of these rows. 1, next single crochet, pull through all 5, chain 1, yarn over, same as last stitch, yarn over, next single crochet, yarn over, pull through all 5, and chain 1. Yarn over, same as the last stitch here, yarn over, next single crochet, yarn over, all 5, chain 1. We're just going to be doing this all the way around the entire yoke. Here we are ready for row 6, and remember that in the even numbered rows, the concept is essentially the same. It's just the number of repeats that changes. So for row 6 of all of the child sizes, I'm going to chain 1 and turn. We're going to do the single crochet in the next chain, chain 1, skip 1, 6 times. So we're going to start in this one right here. 1, skip 2, skip 3, skip 4, skip 5, skip 6. And now it is time for one of the increases, so we're going to do that in the next chain right here. Awesome. Now we're going to do that bit all the way around. When we get to the end of this row, we're going to have a few left over, and that is okay because we are going to do 2 more and then an increase and join to the top of that single crochet. I'll hook back up with you when I get to the other side. Okay, my final increase of the row goes here. So I'm going to do the bracket portion, which is the single crochet, chain 1, skip 1, 2 times. So I'm going to skip and go 1, chain, skip, 2, chain, skip, and then an increase in this last one right here. Join to the top of the first single crochet. Now I'm going to chain 1 and turn and repeat row 3. So same exact thing. I'm not going to do these on video with you any longer. All right, for row 8, we are going to chain 1 and turn and do the portion in brackets 3 times and then increase and then start our repeats for the round. So we're going to go 1, chain, skip 2, chain, skip 3, chain, skip, increase in this one. And now we're going to do the portion of the repeats. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, increase, 7, increase, 7, increase, all the way until we get to the end. Right, I have completed row 8 and I've gone ahead and done row 9 because we are not doing the odd numbers together on video any longer, but I am ready for row 10. So chain 1 and turn, and I'm going to do that repeat bit 8 times and increase, 8 times and increase, 8 times and increase. When I get to the end over here, I should have 5 of those stitches left over, as you can see. So I'm going to do those 1, 2, 3, 4 and increase in the last before I join to the top of that first single crochet. Then I'm going to do another odd row, which is the half double crochets 2 together. So I am almost done with the yoke for the 2-3T size already. Isn't this great how quickly this works up? I love it. So here I am, I have just completed my row 11, which is an odd row, which is the half double crochet 2 together. And that means that I am ready for the row 12 of the 2-3T size. And what's important about this row in particular is that there are no increases, nothing in this one. So we're going to chain 1 and turn, and I'm just going to do the single crochet, chain, skip, single crochet all the way around. And now when I get to the end of this row, we are ready to do the armholes for the 2-3T size. The armhole row is the one that I consider to be probably the most confusing portion of this entire pattern. It's really not too bad though. So at the end of this row, when I get around to the beginning, we will work up that armhole row together. Okay, so I have made it back around on my row 12 and I am ready to start row 13, which for the 2-3T size is our armhole row. We're going to chain 1 and turn. And remember that this is an odd numbered row, and that doesn't matter what size you're making, whether it's the children's or the adult sizes. This is going to be one of the half double crochet 2 together rows. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the first half of a half double crochet 2 together using the same as join. So I'm going to yarn over and go into that stitch, pull up a loop. And now it says that we need to skip so many stitches depending on what size you're making. So for the 2-3T size, I need to skip 29 stitches and complete this half double crochet 2 together in that stitch, right? So we're going to skip those 29. The easiest way to count that is to look at the single crochets. So this chain is stitch number 1 and this single crochet is stitch number 2. So I'm just going to count these single crochets in 2s until I get to the 29 stitches that I need to skip for this size. Remember to check your own if you are making a size other than the 2-3T. So I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, and then 29 is that chain. So that means that I'm going to complete the half double crochet 2 together in this single crochet right here. So kind of push that out to create the armhole, wrap your yarn, go into that single crochet, and pull up a loop. Here it might be a little bit, or it is important that you want to make sure that this yarn right here isn't too loose, because you'll be able to see that at the underarm. So just kind of pull it just a little bit to make sure that stitch isn't super loosey-goosey. Pull through all 5 and chain 1. Now we're going to repeat the portion in between the asterisks. So I'm going to do the half double crochet 2 together using the same and the next single crochet, and then we're going to repeat that so many times as it says for the size that you're making, and then we'll make the other armhole over here. So I'm going to continue making my half double crochets 2 together. That's the first one, chain 1, and now for my size, the 2-3T, I'm going to repeat that, what I just did, 22 more times for 23 total, right? So that one, next one. That's 1 repeat. I'm going to do that 22 times. This is 22. And if you want to count however many that you have right here, it's probably a good idea to go ahead and do that. So this is our very first one that we had to start that armhole row. This is the first one that we did, and then we did that 22 more times. So you should have 22 when you get over to the end here. Perfect. So now we are going to create the second armhole. So we're going to half double crochet 2 together using the same that I just went into. And now I'm going to skip those 29 stitches again. So we're going to count by 2s again using just the single crochets. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 29. So we're going to go into that single crochet right there to complete that half double crochet 2 together. Perfect. Make sure your yarn is not too loose. Kind of cinch it up just a little bit, pull it all through, and chain 1 to close that stitch. Perfect. Now we are going to repeat in the asterisk 23 more times. So we're just going to go all the way to where we started this row over here, and you should have whatever it says in the parentheses for that size. So for me, I should have that 23 more times. So I'm just going to continue until I get to the beginning of that row. This is 23. Perfect. I'm going to go into the same as the join like we always do. Chain 1, join to the top of that first stitch, and that is your armhole row completed. Let's take a look. So we're going to lay it nice and flat here. Obviously we've got our neck opening. This is our little armholes right here. Now for the rest of this pattern, we are going to do the next row together because there's a little bit of a decrease here. But for the rest of this pattern, we're just going to add the sleeves here and go straight down, add the sleeve here and go straight down, and then the body is going to come right where this is here and just go straight down. We're going to change colors at the portion where it says every size is different, every single size is different. So make sure that you're checking where it says to change your colors for the size that you are making. Now for the body all sizes, this row right here is the last confusing row, and then from here on out it is smooth sailing. So after this row there's no increasing, there's no decreasing, there's no nothing. We're just continuing to add length. So let's work up this final body, or the next after the armhole row together. So very first thing is, without turning, you're going to slip stitch to the top of the first or the next half double crochet stitch. So this is the one that we joined in. So we're not going to slip stitch to that one. We're going to find the next half double, which is this one right here. So we know this one's a chain, this one's a half double. So we're going to slip stitch to that guy right there, and that's going to start that row. Now we're going to chain 1 and turn. We're going to find that first chain, which is right here, and we're going to do our single crochet, chain 1, skip 1 bit. So we're going to go in that first one, single crochet, chain 1, skip. We're going to repeat what we just did 22 more times for a total of 23, right? So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way until I get to 22. 21 and 22 goes right there. Now we are going to single crochet 2 together over the next 2 chains. So this should be right at the underarm here, and all we're doing is we're kind of bringing it in a little bit. So we're going to find the next 2 chains, and we're going to do a single crochet 2 together. So this one right here and this one right here. So all we're going to do is insert our hook and pull up a loop. Insert your hook in the next space, or the next chain, the next spot that we're supposed to go in, just like that. And now we're going to complete that single crochet. Now we're going to chain 1, and we're going to repeat in between the asterisks 22 more times. So literally just the same thing we just did on the other side. So 1, 2, 3, etc. And this is 21. And this is 22. And now we're going to join to the top of that first single crochet made right here. And that is the end of the first row of the body. And so now from here on out, I definitely recommend counting your stitches at the end of this row to make sure that you are on par for the size that you are making. But from now on, there is no increasing, no nothing. We're just going to work straight down. Make sure that you change your yarn colors. If you're making a color block, you can do it all in solid colors as well, of course. But make sure that you're changing your colors after, I think we all sizes have 4 rows after the armholes, and then at the color C there at the bottom, that is all a different row number for every single size of this pattern. So I'm going to continue working straight down, and I will hook up with you guys when we are ready to add the sleeves and add the edging around the neck. All right, guys, we are back with the almost completed child size of the color block sweater. I did go ahead and do the bottom ribbing down here with my dark blue because that dark blue is just so hard to see on camera. The good news is that we are going to do the same ribbing that we do on the sleeves and on the bottom at the neck, and so we'll use that with this nice bright gray yarn so that we can actually see what we're doing. If you do need a tutorial for the front post back post ribbing as it is, I do have a dedicated tutorial on how to create this ribbing stitch. So let's go ahead and start on this sleeve together. I did go ahead and make one of the sleeves so that you can see what it looks like. The lines match up on the colors and everything is looking gorgeous. So in order to start our sleeve, we are going to look at the inside, okay? So I'm gonna put my sweater upside down, kind of like this. I'm going to look at the inside of this armhole, right? So that we're looking at the bottom inside of the arm. We're going to insert our hook into a single crochet there. So here I see that this is a single crochet. I'm just going to slip my hook right in there, and that is where we are going to start our sleeve. And this is for all sizes, not just child. So let me grab my silver yarn. We aren't going to use very much of it for this portion. All of the sizes, no matter what size you're making, the first 4 rows are using the same color as color A, right? So we're going to use color A, and it's only going to be 4 rows worth. So 1, 2, 3, 4, all sizes. So first things first, we're going to pull up a loop, and now we're just going to complete this row like we normally would, right? So let me get positioned. I don't want to pull this, I don't want to pull this yarn tail too far because I need to have a decent sized tail to go and weave in any ends and to cinch up any holes that we're going to have at the bottom of the sleeve, because we will. So first things first, we're going to chain 1. We're going to do our half double crochet 2 together using this one and the next one. So let's do that. Yarn over, pull up. Yarn over, next single crochet, pull up. We're going to do this all the way around the entire sleeve. You need to make sure, it's very important at the end of this first round of the sleeve, that you make sure that you have the correct number of the sets of the half double crochet 2 togethers, okay? So we're going to count those when we get to the end, because we're going to have to place one in the underarm portion. Okay, now that I've gotten almost all the way back around over here, I'm going to count and see how many of these I have. For the 2-3T size, I should have 15 at the end of this row. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I need 2 more. All right, let's get positioned. I'm going to do 1 here, same as the last, and then this next single crochet right here. Chain 1, we're going to use that same as the last. And then you've got this kind of a gap until we get back to the beginning over here, right? So all I'm going to do is going to go into the side of this stitch right here at the base of our armhole. So yarn over, go into the side of that stitch, just like that, pull it out, chain 1, and we're going to join to the top of the first half double crochet 2 together we made. So we're joining right there. Now you will notice that we have this little hole, right? That's okay. That's why we left this tail a little bit longer, and we are going to use that to weave in those ends, or weave in the ends and make sure that that hole is cinched up. And I have done that on the other sleeve here. I've gone ahead and done that. So you can't tell really where that was. So now we are going to continue with the pattern. Now that we've got this first row done, the rest is going to be easy peasy. So chain 1, turn, and now we're just going to do the single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, all the way around. And remember, we only have 4 rows of this color A before we switch to the color B, which is my green right here. So I'm going to do all 4 of these rows with you, and then we're going to switch to the green, and then I'm going to just complete my sleeve off camera, because that's literally all we're doing. The cuff, you will have some decreases when it gets to the cuff, but those are pretty straightforward, so I don't think we need to do those on camera. If you do have any questions or issues or anything like that, just let me know and I'll be happy to help. So I'm going to continue. And of course, these small sizes, they just work up so fast. Join to the top of that first single crochet, chain one, turn. We're going to do another half double crochet, 2 together row. And then we're going to do one more of the single crochet chain rows, and then we're going to switch to color B. So now that I am done with my row 4, and you can kind of count these. If you leave this tail here, we know that this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to go ahead and clip my yarn, leaving enough of a tail so that I can weave in that end. And I'm going to join to the first stitch using my color B. Just like that. I'm going to tie a simple knot real quick. Don't let my hook fall out. Boom, there we go. And now I'm ready to chain one and turn and start my next half double crochet, 2 together row. And I'm just going to continue the sleeve all the way exactly like this. Make sure that you are changing your yarn color at the point that it says in the pattern for the size that you are making. Other than those first 4 rows, every other size, from any child size to all of the adult sizes, all have different row numbers where you change to color C after this. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up my sleeve, and then we will meet up to do this top neck portion here. So as soon as I'm done making this sleeve look like this sleeve, right? How cute is that? I'm so excited. Then we're going to meet back up and we are going to do this upper edging here, which is the same as this blue down here. It's just so hard to see with this blue, but I love it. And I can't wait to show you how adorable this sweater is. So I will hook back up with you when I am finished with this sleeve. So here I have my completed color block sweater in the 2-3T size. I am in love with these colors. My little model is going to be so precious. I cannot wait to see this on. Now it is time to go ahead and add our front post, back post edging to the top as promised. So what we're going to do, we are going to join our hook or yarn in this stitch right from the beginning, right here, okay? So here's our beginning tail. We're going to go right into that first full stitch. We are going to pull up a loop, and now we are going to chain 1. We're going to do a front post half double crochet around this first stitch that we just went into. So we're going around the post. So I'm going to go into that stitch and come through the other side into that next stitch. And this is the post of that stitch. That's why it's called the front post half double crochet. So now we're just going to complete the half double crochet as normal. Now we're going to do a back post half double crochet, which means that we are taking the next stitch and pushing it to the back. So we're going to wrap our hook and come from the back side here into that same one that we just came out of, and we're just going to grab the post of that stitch. Kind of hard to get into. Go and make your back post half double crochet complete. Now we're going to wrap it. We're going to do a front post in the next. So you literally just go around the post of that stitch, complete your half double crochet. Wrap it, come from the back for the next one, and complete that half double crochet. This first row is not fun to crochet, but it really does help to bring in, here's a front post, it really does help to bring in the neck, especially on these child sizes, because they need to be brought in quite a bit so it doesn't just fall right off their shoulders. So this is all we're going to do all the way around. It's kind of a tricky row, but we're just doing our front post half double crochet and our back post half double crochet. So here you can see I've got some of this front post, back post, front post, back post. I'm just going to continue that all the way until I get back to the beginning right here, and I'm going to join to the top of that first stitch made. When you get all the way back around, you should end with a front post half double crochet. So we start with the front post and we end with the front post. And when we join to the top of that stitch right here, that makes it look like seamless. Okay, and it'll look even better as we continue on. But now we have 2 rows left on our entire cardigan and we are done. What we're doing next for row 2 of this neck edging is chain 1 and turn so that we're looking at the inside. And we're going to start with a back post. Since we turned, that front post is now a back post, right? So we're going to do a back post around that one right there. And then a front post around this one right there. And a back one around this one and a front post around this one. And we are just going to continue alternating front post and back post around the entire neck. And then we'll do the same thing for 1 more row. And since we started this second row with a back post, we're going to end it with a back post as well. So we're going to join to the top of the first back post half double crochet, and now we're ready for our final row. We're going to chain 1 and turn, and now we're just going to do 1 more edging row, and then we're going to use our yarn tails to weave in all of our ends. So we're going to start this row with a front post half double crochet, and like I said, the longer you go on this edging, the easier it is to get your crochet hook in there. So just complete this front post, back post, all the way around until you get to that first one. If you want to do another row, if you feel like your child just needs 1 more row of the neck edging, that is absolutely perfectly fine. Another thing that you could do as you're crocheting these neck rows, you could go down 1 hook size each row, and that would really help to bring it in as well. And then there is an optional, if needed, say you're making this for a 2-3T and your little one is just tiny, and you're concerned that it's going to either, show too much or fall off their shoulders, you could do 1 entire row doing just slip stitches all the way around, and that would really, really help tighten things up quite a bit. So now I'm working my way around to the first stitch. When I get there, I'm going to fasten off and weave in all of my ends. All right, so we have made it all the way back around. I did not join because I'm going to fasten off using the invisible join. I'm going to clip that. I'm going to go ahead and pull this all the way through. We're going to weave in these ends using the invisible join. It's my favorite way to join 2 row ends. So here I've got my front post coming out of this one. I'm going to find the first stitch of that row, which is this one right here, and I'm just going to, I pulled my yarn straight on through. I'm going to go through this one, front to back, and then I'm going to go down through the center of that last stitch made and pull that, and it looks like a stitch instead of where you fastened off. So I do have a full dedicated tutorial on the invisible join that is a lifesaver for so many different patterns and joining techniques, right? So there is that. Let me clip that. Now all I have to do is weave in these 2 ends from the very beginning, and I am finished. I hope you guys have enjoyed making this color block sweater with me today, and I look forward to crocheting many more sweaters with you in the future. Thanks for watching.